Hello, True Duelists. My name is Craig Fee, and this is the New Card Report. The video I make sometimes when there are too many cards to reveal in the regular update, and because shorter videos and more of them work better with the algorithm. I'm just being honest. This week marks the end of reveals for the OCG set of Cyberstorm Access. That's right, we've seen each of the cards coming from it, and we now know the full set list. For the OCG. The TCG will get some number of imports and exclusive as always, but we'll cover those cards when we get to them sometime in and around May when the set releases for us here in the TCG. In the meantime, praise Xenu, I don't have to cover any more Cyberstorm Access cards. Let's get into it. Full active Duprex starts us off, looking as cool as I'm sure it is useless. Damn shame. This level 9 monster has 2800 attack and 1000 defense, meaning it has some inadvertent Monarch synergy for whatever that's worth. Probably of no value whatsoever, but it's there. It is there. It can summon itself from hand by banishing 2 link monsters from your graveyard, and makes it so that your linked monsters on field can make 2 attacks on monsters. Yeah, that's pretty useless. But hey, if it's sent to the graveyard, it can target a Cybers you control to give it 1000 attack. Wow, that's the effect. Probably won't see any amount of play in any capacity unless you're an absolute Giga Chad and feel like putting this card into your Monarch build you refer to as Meme-Narcs or Mech-Narcs, whatever stupid name you can come up with. Then I'll respect you deeply as a person. But other than that, this one is some straight up pack filler, and that's it. Up next is Harvest Angel of Doom. That's the name? Holy shit, that's metal as fuck. This Pendulum monster is a level 4 fairy with a scale of 8, and its Pendulum effect will let you destroy itself to add a copy of Black Horn of Heaven from your deck to your hand. Neat. Can you imagine that in like 2014? Its monster effects are twofold. On normal summon or Pendulum summon, but not just any special summon, specifically Pendulum summon, it can add a copy of Horn of Heaven from deck to hand. And if it is tributed, it will place itself back into the scale. Seems like an interesting way to get more counter traps, and is a counterpart of sorts to Ariande, or however I'm supposed to be pronouncing that card name. It's been out for like 8 years, and I'm not learning how to say it, I don't care. The other one from 2016. Still, unlike that one, this one can proc itself, and if you Pendulum summon it, you'll get 2 searches in 1 turn. It's a bit of a shame that Horn of Heaven and Black Horn of Heaven are cards that aren't really as good today as they were in the past, but hey, support is support, and Konami has at least remembered that those cards exist, so that's something. Plus, Counter Fairies now have full scales? Yay? Let's be real here, this is at best a decent attack level 4 for the deck, which finally means Counter Fairies have access to a native out to a normal summoned Jerry Beans man. Finally, at long last. Up next is a new Spirit Monster in line with the Spirit Monsters we got in 2013, only a decade later. That might be thematically for some reason, but good God, a decade later. Sakitama has the usual Spirit Monster restrictions. No special summoning it, and if it's normaled or flipped face up this turn, it will return to hand at the end phase. It has 2 effects to use, one in a hand and one on the field. Decent. The in-hand effect will allow it to reveal itself to immediately normal summon a spirit monster from your hand, which includes itself as far as I can tell, and that's pretty insane. But regardless, that is a phenomenal generic extender for spirits right there without the other effect, so good start Konami. The on-field effect is not really an on-field effect technically, instead activating if it's tributed. It will allow you to target a spirit monster in your grave and then add it to the hand, which again doesn't restrict itself, so you can pretty solidly loop it. Each of these effects are once per turn, but provided you get more than 1 turn, that's a good amount of wombo combo potential for a deck that hates special summoning. And paired with the other spirit monsters that give an extra normal summon on summon, and any of the high level spirit monsters, you could make for a more reliable access to your plays and spirits, so good job. Plus it's a ball, so that's cool, right? I don't know, it's good for spirit decks, and God willing, one step closer to making Yada a problem card again, because I don't think it ever will be, but it is funny to imagine. So I'll approve of it for now, tentatively. There's also a new fire monster. Okay, come on. That is not going to be the name in the TCG. I don't care. It's going to be something stupid and irrelevant like Elf Party or something simple that I can say. But according to the internet, and I apologize in advance, but this card's name is Yukai Narin no Kitsunebi Urara. Nope, not even close. Not going to be the name. It's Party Elves. So it's this card, a level 3 warrior with 200 attack and 1900 defense. This is because Konami does not believe in making Pyro Monsters. Apparently, we didn't get a single Pyro Monster in all of 2022. So let's see how long we can keep that going, since apparently we're on pace for a record maybe? Who knows? Let's find out. Still, Elf Army here does have an effect, so let's get on to that. It will make all monsters on the field become fire attribute. Sure. Why not? The second effect is a hard once per turn, and it's a graveyard effect, which will allow you to summon itself from the grave if the opponent has a fire monster on their field. Again, sure. Why not? Salamangrate players are about to be quaking in their boots when this drops. Infernoble players are in shambles because the opponent has free extenders. I don't know what deck this is. I don't know what this is for, or what deck it's for. Why isn't it a pyro type? Where is my wallet? These are all questions that I have, and yet none of them are going to be answered. So let's just move along to the cards that might actually matter. And speaking of the cards that matter, have the one from the thumbnail. Ringo Worm, the 100 Apple Dragon, is the name I've got for it as of now, although I'll be surprised if it stays that name in the TCG when we get it imported. This is a level 2 Dragon-type tuner monster, and those are about the only stats that matter for it. It's got 2 effects. Both of them are hard once per turn, so you know it's gonna be once per turn. The first is to summon itself from the hand if you control a non-effect monster. And the second effect will let you banish it from the graveyard the same turn you used it for a synchro summon to summon a level 2 token to your field. And that token can be treated as a tuner when used for a synchro summon. Holy shit. They ban Hulk and then just decide, you know what? Fuck it. Broken tuners again. Who cares? Hulk's dead. I'm dead. The game's dead according to Sladra in 2016. Broken tuners for everyone. I love it. My brain initially went to Sword Soul because I have no originality, hence why I play Sword Soul. But still, it's good in any synchro deck, right? And wow, a rare chance to say thank God that this card is a dragon and not a worm. Because if this were a worm, it'd be a lot more abusable in Sword Soul. But that's not... The point is, that's not something I get to say every day, is thank God it's a dragon type and not a worm. My gut tells me this will be broken in something. I just don't know what. And pro player Jeff Jones went on to validate my opinion, immediately going to Twitter to hype it up. This only makes me appear smarter for observing the obvious, but also Spell Chronicle doesn't exist, so I'm hyped for it. Shoutouts to you if you get that joke. This card is definitely going to be broken in something, and I'm eager to play that particular broken deck once better people at this game than I figure out what that deck is. Pendulum Moon is another new Pendulum monster we're getting from the set, a level 1 light spellcaster with 200 attack and 700 defense, and its scale is 0. I like that. It can help summon other copies of it from the face-up extra deck, so you love to see the kid helping the kid out. Its scale effect will let you add a face-up Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand and then destroy itself. That of course means a Pendulum monster with Pendulum in its name. This here is a wide range of cards that it can grab, so I'll be interested to see what it is the best ones end up being, and if it will really just be Perform a Pal Pendulum Sorcerer. Its monster effect is similarly generic for pendulums. You've got 2 cards in your pendulum scales. It will let you add 2 monsters from your extra deck to your hand whose levels are between the scales in your pendulum zones. But once you do this, until you pendulum summon that same turn, you will be unable to activate monster effects and your pendulum scales are negated. So that monster effect alone seems very abusable. It's got a similar restriction to Beyond the Pendulum, needing you to Pendulum summon before being able to really play, but that's kind of just Pendulum decks ideally, right? Right? Between this and the Super Heavy Samurais card that was revealed in Cyberstorm Access, it seems Abusable will be the new decent Pendulum deck standard. What is that sentence? It seems that this will be a decent set for Pendulum decks. That's a better way to put it, and will probably give credence to my theory that modern Pendulum deck building is the same as classic GOAT format deck building in general. Just 40 of the best generic cards to get the job done to win with all the cool cards you have thrown into your pile. It's the same deck building, and GOAT player Yugi boomer ass motherfuckers need to accept the reality that Pendulum is the modern equivalent for the decks that they miss. Do not at me. Moving on from the good cards, let's instead talk about Wannabee good cards. Like Wannabee, a new level 2 insect with donuts in the stat line. This card will let you send it to the graveyard in the end phase from your hand or from your field to excavate cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of unoccupied spell and trap zones your opponent controls. You will then be able to set one trap from among the excavated cards to your field, but it will be sent to the graveyard during the next end phase. And the rest of the cards are placed on the bottom of the deck in any order. It's like a slightly different version of Absolute King Backjack, kinda, but not quite since they're both niche enough to have warrants. Backjack offers Link Karibo access if you summon it. It's consistently 3 excavated cards as opposed to 0 to 5 technically, depending on how many spell and trap the opponent has, and Backjack doesn't get rid of the trap at the end of the end phase. The end of the end phase at the next end phase. Broadly, I still prefer the king, but this card does have its uses. So now you've got options. And that's something, right? And lastly from Cyberstorm Access, Tauntaun. Tauntaun? It's a quick play spell that will target a monster on the field, and if that monster's attack, defense, and or level are higher than their original values, it will reset them back to normal. Then you can pay life points in multiples of 100 up to 1,000. That's the initial effect. Cool. And during the main phase, if your life points are equal to your opponent's, you are able to set this card from the grave back onto your field. Yeah, that's pretty useless. But it is called Tauntaun. Or maybe it's called Tauntaun. I don't know. There's definitely some kind of joke you can make here in relation to Tauntauns. You know, what's the line? Don't go ahead, call Vader. You can't unstunt the Tauntaun. Who knows? Who fucking knows? The card's bad. That's what we know. We know, and we know that it's bad. But it's funny name and funny art, so Tauntaun. Shoutouts for today's video, of course, go out to the sponsor, the LIFD Magnetic Display. A chance for you to display your old copy of Hulk Fibrax to remind you of just how good that card was and how bad the meta could be with Hulk and that insane level 2 Apple Dragon tuner. Or display any of your other favorite cards in a fantastic magnetic display. You can go ahead and click the link in the description or use promo code YGOStrats15 to get 15% off your own version of this LIFD magnetic display, just saying the name again, and you can help out me and the channel and yourself and your band Hulk that you didn't sell because you're stupid. Now you've just got an extra copy of Hulk or 3 that have no function, so better start playing retro formats, haha, and you can help out LIFD. So win, win, win across the board. Thanks to LFID for sponsoring today's video, and as always, cool. Great wrap on that. That will wrap it up for today's new card report. The regular update will be out tomorrow as usual. Until then, I've been your host, Craig Fee, and make sure you subscribe to YGO Strats to impress your smoking Italian wife and so that you too can be a true duelist.